Chapter 2. Once I stayed awake all night waiting for Mom and Dad to arrive. They didn't. They haven't. But it's all right. Nobody drives up that narrow rocky road from the village in the dark unless they're Father Ludwig. He says God helps him and his horse with the steering. Mom and Dad were never very religious, so they probably wouldn't risk it. They'll be here once it's daylight. What I'm worrying about now is whether they'll recognize me after 3 years and 8 months. You know how when you have a haircut and a tooth comes out, your parents carry on about how you must be the kid who belongs to the shoe mender down the street? Well, I've changed even more than that. When I arrived at this place, I was plump and little with freckles and two gaps. Now I'm about twice as tall with glasses and a complete set of teeth. I press my face against the cold window pane over my bed and watch the sky start to go pale and tell myself not to be silly. I remind myself what Mom and Dad said when they brought me here. We won't forget you, Mom whispered through her tears. I knew exactly what she was saying, that they wouldn't forget to come and get me once they'd fixed up their bookshop troubles. We'll never forget you, Dad said in a husky voice. And I knew exactly what he was saying too, that when they come, even if I've changed a lot, they'll still know it's me. The sun is peeping up behind the convent gates. Now it's getting light outside. I don't feel so anxious. Plus, if all else fails, I've got my notebook. The cover's a bit stained from when I had it snatched away from Merrick and Boris in class. It was to stop them reading it, and some ink got spilled, but apart from that, it looks exactly like it did when Mom and Dad gave it to me. It's the only notebook with a yellow cardboard cover in this whole place, so they'll definitely recognize it if I hold it in an obvious way when they arrive. And when they read it, they'll know I'm their son because it's full of stories I've written about them. About their travels all over Poland, discovering why their bookshop supplies suddenly went so unreliable. Dad wrestling a wild boar that's been eating authors. Mom rescuing a book printer that's been kidnapped by pirates. Her and Dad crossing the border into Germany and finding huge piles of really good books propping up wobbly tables. All right, most of the stories were a bit exaggerated, but they'll still recognize themselves and know I'm their son. What's that sound? It's a car or a truck. One of those they don't need a horse because they've got an engine. It's chugging up the hill. I can hear it getting closer. There go Sister Elvira and Sister Grazna across the courtyard to open the gates. Mom and Dad, you're here at last. I'm so excited I'm steaming up the window and my glasses. I rub them both with my pajama sleeve. A car rumbles into the courtyard. Mom and Dad must have swapped the old bookshop cart for it. Trust them. They've always been modern. They were the first booksellers in the whole district to have a ladder in their shop. I can hardly breathe. Half the dormitory are out of bed now, pressing their noses against the windows too. Any second now, they'll all see Mom and Dad. Suddenly, I don't care if everyone does know my secret. Perhaps it'll give some of the other kids hope that the authorities might have made a mistake and that their mums and dads might not be dead after all. That's strange. The car windows are steamed up so I can't see clearly, but it looks like there are more than two people in the car. Mom and Dad must have given Father Ludwig a lift, and a couple of his relatives who fancied a day out. I can't make out which ones are Mom and Dad. I hold my notebook up for them to see. The car doors open and people get out. I stare, numb with disappointment. It's not a Mom and Dad, it's just a bunch of men in suits with armbands. Felix, says Dodie urgently, grabbing me as I hurry out of the dormitory. I need your help. I give him a pleading look. Can't he see I'm doing something urgent too? Finding out from Mother Minka if Mom and Dad sent a note with a carrot saying exactly when they'll be arriving. I've got the carrot with me to jog Mother Minka's memory. It's Yankel, says Dodie. He's hiding in the toilet. I sigh. Yankel's only been here 2 weeks, and he's still very nervous about strangers. Tell him there's nothing to worry about, I say to Dottie. The men in cars are probably just officials from the Catholic head office. They've probably just come to check that all our parents are dead. They'll be gone soon. I give a careless shrug so Dottie won't see how nervous I am about the officials, and how much I'm desperately hoping Mother Minka remembers the story we agreed on about my parents, about how they were killed in a farming accident, tragically. Yankel's not hiding from the men in the car, says Dottie. He's hiding from the torture squad. Dottie points. Merrick, Telek, Aduk, and Boris are crowding into the dormitory toilets. Come on, says Dodie. We've got to save him. Dodie's right. We can't leave Yankel at the mercy of the torture squad. Merrick and the others have been after him since the day he arrived. He's the first new boy to torture in 3 years and 8 months. Since me. Dottie shoves the toilet door open. We go in. Merrick, Telek, Aduk, and Boris have got Yankel on his knees. Yankel's pleading with them. His voice is echoing a bit because they've got his head half in the toilet bowl. Don't struggle, says Telek to Yankel. This won't hurt. Telek's wrong. It will hurt. It hurt when they did it to me 3 years and 8 months ago. Having your head pushed down a toilet hole always hurts. Wait, I yell. The torture squad turns and looks at me. I don't know that what I will say next will either save Yanko or it won't. Desperately, I try to think of something good. A horse crushed his parents, I said. Now the new kid is staring at me too. I grip my notebook hard and let my imagination take over. A great big plow horse, I continue. It had a heart attack in the mud and fell onto both of his parents, and it was too heavy for him to drag them off, so he had to nurse them both for a whole day and a whole night while the life was slowly crushed out of them. And do you know what their dying words to their only son were? I can see the torture squad haven't got a clue. Neither does the new kid. They asked him to pray for them every day, I said, at the exact time they died. I wait for the chapel bell to finish striking 7. At 7 o'clock in the morning, I say. Everyone takes this in. The torture squad looks uncertain, but they're not pushing anybody down a toilet, which is good. That's just one of your stories, sneers Tulloch, but I can tell he's not so sure. Quick, says Dottie, I can hear Mother Minka coming. That's a story too, because Mother Minka is down in the courtyard with the head office officials, but Merrick and the others look even more uncertain. They swap glances, then hurry out of the toilets. Dottie turns wearily to Yanko. What did we tell you, says Dottie, about coming in here on your own? Yanko opens his mouth to reply, then closes it again. Instead, he peers past us, trying to see down into the courtyard. Have they gone, he says. Dottie nods and points towards the dormitory. Boris is putting mud in your bed, he says. I mean the men in the car, says Yanko. He looks almost as scared now as he did with the torture squad. They'll be gone soon, I say. Mother Minka's dealing with them. Yanko starts to look a bit less nervous, but only a bit. I find myself wondering if he's got secret or live parents, too. Thanks for saving me, he says. That was a good story about my parents being crushed. Sorry if it brought back sad memories, I say. Nah, says Yanko. My parents froze to death. I stare at him. If that's true, it's terrible. Their bath must have been outdoors or something. Yanko glances down at my notebook. Do you make up lots of stories, he asks. Sometimes, I say. I'm not very good at stories, he says. As we go out into the dormitory, I find myself wondering if Yanko is Jewish. He's got dark eyes like me, but I don't ask him. If he is, he wouldn't admit it. Not here. Dottie stays with Yanko, who's peering nervously out of the window again, and I head off, hoping that Mother Minka has got rid of the official so I can ask her about Mom and Dad. As I hurry down the stairs, I glance out the window myself. In the courtyard, Mother Minka is having an argument with the men. She's waving her arms, which she only does when she's in a very bossy mood. I stop and stare. What's that smoke? It's a bonfire. The men are having a bonfire in the courtyard. Why are they doing that? It can't be for warmth. The sun's up now, and it's going to be a hot day. I can see why Mother Minka is so angry. The smoke is going into the chapel and the classrooms and the girls' dormitory. Oh no, I've just seen what the men are burning. That's terrible. If Mom and Dad saw this, they'd be in tears. The other nuns are down there in the courtyard, and some of them have got their faces in their hands. I'm feeling very upset myself. The men are burning books.